So the Ohlins DFV shock for the front with the Swift spring on it is coming in at exactly 9 pounds. And the rear shock is also 9 pounds. Now this one's a lot shorter, so you'd think it'd be lighter, but I believe there's a lot more coils in the spring on this Ohlins shock, so that's probably why it weighs the same as the front. Alright, so first things I'm going to want to do here is loosen the two top nuts for the shock. So I'm going to have to take out the bolts for the upper control arm, the two right here, so I can pull the upper control arm back and pivot on the bottom ball joint so I can get the factory shock out. Alright, so the factory shocks are 12 pounds. These are the front struts from an AP1. Alright, so here we are. I got the Ohlins DFV suspension in. The Karcepts sway bars are both in, of course, but the end links are disconnected right now because I'm trying to play around with the ride height for the Ohlins. So with my preload settings you guys saw in the previous video, I am running 2mm of preload in the front with a 12K spring, and the 10K spring in the rear has 10mm of preload on it. That really affected the rear of the car because I didn't adjust the factory ride height setting yet from Ohlins. So the front of the car dropped about 0.6 of an inch. It's right at around 13.41 inches right now from the center of the center cap to the top of the painted fender. Stock it was 14, and on the rear, since I set so much preload, it's coming in at around 14, over 14.5 inches. So it's almost an inch higher in the rear than the front right now. I'm going to try to get it so that the rear of the car is only a 1/4 inch above the front, which is kind of the factory bias that comes with these cars. So I got to lower the rear, the driver's side rear, 0.9 of an inch, and the passenger side rear a little over 0.9 of an inch. So I'm going to thread those shocks down into the body a little further. And honestly, the front right now looks really good. I didn't want to lower the car very much at all. As you can see, there is still kind of somewhat of a gap there, but it lowered it over a 1/2 inch from the stock setting, and I'm not really trying to win any stance awards, so I really want a functional setup. I'm going to be fitting a 255 up front, so without modifying the fender, I think that might be a good setting to start with. The suspension might settle a little more, so I think I'm just going to try to leave those alone for right now, and then just work on the rear. So as you can see, here's the rear wheel gap. It's actually more than stock, so raising those spring preload up quite a bit without adjusting the shocks at all. So I'm going to lower those almost an inch, about 0.9 of an inch. Alright, so I just bottomed out the threaded part into the cup in the bottom here. So with 10mm of preload, I got 12 turns out of it from the factory location. And so that equates to, if the pitch is really 1.5mm on this, that means one turn would be about 60 thousandths of movement. So I got 12 turns, so that's just over 0.7 of an inch. I'm going to drop the car and do this to both sides and see if that actually translates into the desired drop I was going for. I really wanted 0.9, so I have this bottomed out now, and if it doesn't make the 0.9, according to the math, it won't. But if it doesn't make it, I'm going to have to back off the preload a little bit. So I have 10mm of preload now. I'm going to have to back that off since the ride height is bottomed out on those. So we'll lower the car and do this to both sides and see where it settles. So to lower the rear ride height effectively, you have to break this ride height locking ring loose. It's usually threaded tight down to the body down here. So break that loose, pull it up quite a ways here. So you're going to have to grab the top of the spring perch and rotate it clockwise to thread this down into there, and you're going to just mark a spot on the top perch and keep track of your rotations that you start with. According to the manual, each rotation is going to be about 60 thousandths of an inch or 1.5mm. So we're going to go ahead and see how far this one will turn down. This side was a tiny bit higher than the driver's side, so I'm going to try to lower this 1.5 turn more, so hopefully I'll be able to get 12.5 turns out of it. So you're going to get on there just like this and rotate it down like that. Just push that way and count your revolutions. Alright, so originally the rears needed to come down about 0.9 of an inch. I did 12 turns on the driver's side and 12.5 turns on the passenger side. Almost 1.25 inches ride height out of it when I turned 12 turns. So if the pitch was 1.5 millimeters on those shocks, it would make sense to have to do 15 turns, but I did 12 and got way more than I thought, so the pitch must be greater than, you know, one revolution being 1.5 millimeters and ride height change. Either that or the spring preload changed significantly when I was changing these. Alright, so the front of the car is all complete. The sway bar links are tight and all the bushings are clocked. Working on the Karcepts rear sway bar right now. Basically to back up a little bit to clock the bushings, I took my ride height measurements I got with all the suspension components somewhat loose so that the bushings weren't binding anything up when setting my ride heights, and then I stuck a jack underneath the ball joint with a piece of wood so you didn't damage the ball joint castle nut. You jack this up and then measure from the center of the axle nut or the center of the front hub to the fender and match exactly what you got with the wheels on. And then once you do that, you torque all the bolts down to the OEM specs. So I did that with the jack underneath there. Everything's torqued down, so I lowered it now, and now both sides are lowered on each side. I'm working on installing the Karcepts sway bar. The directions they give you with the rear one are a lot less concise than the front one. The front one, they give you like a 8-page long document with CAD drawings and everything of how to set it up. But the rear, they just give you a quick description on how to put it together. So what I'm doing is trying to center the rear bar. On the front, you center it basing off measuring from the shock bodies to the arms. But on the rear, I believe all we have to do is just center it to the bushing. So I measured how much length is sticking out on each side, and then got the total length of both of them, divided it by 2. And now I have used a caliper to set the distance from here to the end of the shaft. It's like 4.026 of an inch on each side. It's dead nuts equal. So now we're going to go ahead, now that that is set equal, we can go and take these collars, slide them over the shaft, tighten this down so the bar stays centered. Alright, so once you get your bar centered, you want to go ahead and torque down the mounts themselves to the frame. I had them just snugged up before so you could move the bar easily. It's a 14mm hex. Just get in there and tighten them down to 29 foot-pounds. Once you do that, recheck your measurement, make sure nothing shifted, and then take these little collars and slide them up. Make sure when you put these in that your bushing is facing outward. You're going to put your collar on, slide it up, push it up against that edge, and then tighten the hex on this locking collar. It's a 3/16 inch bit that goes in there. You're going to torque that down to 11 foot-pounds, and then do that for both sides. And then you can move on to putting the arms on the end. Alright, so now we got everything on there and torqued down. The bar is completely centered. I'm going to go ahead and put these arms on. The nice aluminum arms from Karcepts, these things look awesome with 7 adjustment points. Make sure they do supply you with a little package of copper anti-seize, and you're going to want to apply it on the insides of the splines on the arms. Apply pretty much as much as you want around the edge of the splines on the shaft, and then on here just make sure you keep enough for the other side too. That's critical because it's going to prevent this from making noise when it rotates. So if you don't use anti-seize, it's going to make loud snapping noises when you shift direction or hit bumps on the street. So make sure you do that. The front one, they spec in their instructions to install it a 1/16 of an inch away from the edge, but with these they really don't specify. So it says the bar is 40 inches long, so you want to have the ends of these be 40 inches from each other. So pretty much what that tells me is you want to put these flush with the end of the bar. So that's what we're going to do, and then put the end links on. So the rear height of my car was about 13.66 inches, so I split the difference between 450 and 4625, and I went with like 456 for my end length. And for the rear end links, they both go straight. The fronts are kind of crooked and twisted a little bit when you tighten them down, but these are just dead nut straight. And then the center from here to the center of the bottom is 4.56 inches based on my ride height. So I got those set, and those will be easy to go in the car. The bottom have a 6-point hex on them, and then the fronts have just the 2 flats that go into the arm. You got to use this 1 wrench on the back side for the nut, and the slot prevents this from spinning inside. So you can adjust these with 1 wrench at the track without even jacking the car up. Same with the front, and they both work the same way, so it's freaking awesome. So we're going to go ahead and put these on the car, anti-seize. Make sure that each side is on the right spline. You don't want them to be off a spline. The splines are pretty aggressive, so it's not going to be very hard to tell. It's going to be blatantly obvious to you if they're off. Tighten them down to 22 foot-pounds. Tighten that bolt with a 6mm hex to 22 foot-pounds. And then put your end links on, and that's it. I mean, I'm not sure what end length I'm going to start at yet for the stiffness, but I'll probably shoot somewhere in the middle. The third from stiffest in the front right now, since I'm going to be putting 255s up front and the 12K springs, so it should be really stiff in the front. I'm going to be a lot softer in the rear, 10K springs, and I'm doing the Karcepts bar. Probably going to shoot dead nut center hole number 4, and work from there, see how the car handles, and adjust it as I need to. So we're very close now. Karcepts sway bars are on. Now I got to go ahead and just put the end links in, throw the tires back on the car. All my bushings are torqued down at the proper ride height and set to the proper preload, and be good. Alright, so the rear end is all complete. Got a bunch of shiny stuff going on. Brand new Tanabe medallion touring exhaust. The Karcepts rear sway bar is on there and all torqued down. As you can see here, the end link is on and adjusted correctly. I'm going to start off with the setting that's the third notch from softest, so the one all the way to the left, the hole all the way to the left on that's the softest setting. Car's all done, all the bushings are torqued down. Gonna go throw the rear tires on it, set this thing on the ground, and throw it on the scales and see where it comes out. Alright, so we got the car all set up, all the ride heights and everything, and the car is completely done. We're gonna go ahead and use these scales we used to use for kart racing. They're actually made for cars, so be able to tell the corner balance or how the weight's distributed across the car. Tells you left, rear weight, and then the weight at every corner. So we're going to go ahead and jack up each side of the car and slide the scales underneath it. Alright, so here's the car on the scales, and this is the numbers from measuring and adjusting everything to the exact same ride height. So we got a total weight of 2744 for the car. The left front is the heaviest right now. The right side is 682 up front and 690 in the rear, so that's within 8 pounds. It's very, very close. Alright, so this is after the adjustments. We raised the left rear 1 turn on the Ohlins coilover. That put the right side dead nuts even to the pound. 687 across the board. The left front is under 700 pounds now, it's 699. And the left rear is 673.